Hello, this is Lieutenant Sturge 659, and I'm going to address a few questions that have been asked about the game mechanics. The first question is basically, what is the benefit of tinderboxes? Tinderboxes are basically matchbooks that you can use in order to light candles, torches, and other objects that can produce a light with a little fuel. The benefits of tinderboxes, such as like this, their use is infinite. The only time, like they stay on, the lights stay on infinitely, for forever, basically, unless, of course, the shadow demon thing decides to blow them out and make the game harder for you. Tinderboxes help with your sanity, which I will go to the next, which is the next question about what sanity does. But basically, before I forget, I'm gonna wrap up tinderboxes. Basically, tinderboxes are there for you to stand next to if your sanity is really low, and just stand there looking at it like it's a light source. And a drawback to it, obviously, is that creatures can see you. Creatures can see you if you're under light, or if you're using the lantern, which helps your sanity a little bit too. And they're stationary, you can't take them with you. And they have a relatively low distance of like the amount of light that it produces is consistently small compared to the lantern, which is effectively used as the primary light source for Daniel, the main character. Alright, let's go on to the next question. What does sanity do? Sanity is right here, represented by your brain, and this is health. Represented by your brain. Sanity does quite a few things. The first thing it does is it helps you move faster in the game. For instance, if you're at crystal clear, your ability to move around is completely unobstructed. You have full control over your character, and you'll be able to dodge objects or complete puzzles faster, and you'll basically have, it's like a clearer picture of things. When you're down to a slight headache, which is basically the second out of four stages of sanity for Daniel, sanity is affected by lack of light sources or light sources. It is affected by if you see disturbing events, such as a creature walking at you, or you hear something very scary, or the shadow decides to mess with you and make a whole lot of loud, groaning, moaning sounds. Basically, Daniel is a scaredy cat, and just about anything in the game is capable of scaring him, which means that your sanity is continuously lower than crystal clear unless you complete a task, and which goes on to my next point. You want to keep your sanity at crystal clear at all times, in any situation. There are some cinematic benefits to having lower sanity. For instance, if you're at lower sanity than a slight headache, you'll occasionally see blurs and contortions of your view. It's almost as if like your mind is breaking down in reality. And I mean, you'll be able to witness events even scarier than they really are. And your mind will play tricks with you. For instance, if you're at the lowest possible sanity, which is ... which you never want to be at for very long, you are very vulnerable to monsters, and you are very vulnerable in a sense that you have very little control over your character. Like, you can move around and everything. It's hard to see. It's almost like you got beer goggles, and you're constantly falling, collapsing to the ground if you hear loud noises and disturbing images, things like that. And But basically, sanity is the second meter for the game, and for Daniel. Besides health, sanity affects how you use things and how quickly you can get past a challenge. It also affects the way your character handles health issues. For instance, if your sanity is low and your health is really, really high, it'll actually help you regenerate sanity faster. This from my experience, if you have if you have the highest possible amount of health, which is no problems basically, then the rate at which your sanity regenerates basically goes back from ... to head is pounding and shaking, and then slight headache, and then crystal clear. Your sanity will not regenerate all the way up to crystal clear. You have to complete tasks and maintain a healthy diet of disturbing images in order to prevent yourself from getting any lower than ... In some parts of the game, it actually makes you, it intentionally makes you go ... in order to view something in an even more frightening detail, or things of that nature. And you never want to be at ... around creatures, because the longer you stare at them, the faster your the faster your sanity drains, and then it is likely that you will collapse on the ground and start making sound effects, and your character will die, because the creatures will be alerted to your presence and then run over and rape you. Let's see. So yeah, sanity plays a huge part in the game, at least with regards to how you handle obstacles and challenges. You have to be very careful with how you go about playing the game if you want to stay alive, basically. You want to have full agility and control over what your character does at crystal clear, because at crystal clear, it's almost as if your agility is greater than normal, if that makes any sense. It's because you're like a heightened sensitivity, especially to your mouse. And well, I mean that pretty much wraps up what sanity is. Sanity will also randomly, if you see a picture, it might distort the picture and make it look scary or disturbing. For instance, if you see a picture of the Baron Alexander in normal, it's crystal clear, he looks like a normal guy. But if you're down from, I believe, head is pounding and shaking to ... he looks like some kind of demon crazy guy, which is pretty much what he is. But like, it isn't required of you to be at any range of sanity. But it is recommended that you stay at the highest possible sanity in order to prevent yourself from dying, or being hindered by Daniel's weaknesses, basically. Alright, let's move on to the final question: why hide in cabinets? As you might have witnessed in the previous couple of episodes, you would have seen me running around finding a hiding place, especially in cabinets. The reason for this is that, well, as I've let on before, the grunts and brutes in this game are rather dumb, rather dim-witted. You can be 5 feet away from them and they can't tell you're there as long as you're hiding, which is represented by a blue hue around you, which I will probably demonstrate here. Well, this is a safe room anyway, so there's no point in hiding. But usually, in dimly lit areas, especially like completely dark areas, it'll be very difficult for creatures to see you. And then that whole thing plays in with cabinets and lockers, and chests and doors and things of that nature. You see, the creatures can't see you, and therefore the likelihood of them walking off and doing whatever is greater than if you were hiding in an open area, like a corner of a room. Because while they're dim-witted, they can still see, and I mean, if you're looking straight at them, they have a tendency to look straight at you, and then you're you're fucked, basically. But anyway, that's in brief. That's why you hide in cabinets in this game, unless of course you're like crazy shooting. You're just running around, egging the creatures on, which I would like to do more often because I kind of it tests how well you can handle a creature, especially with Gregory's, the brutes who have these big knives that can kill you in one hit. Being able to dodge that is pretty incredible as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, hiding in cabinets. Cabinets will break down if the creature notices that you're there, just as quickly as any normal door like this one. And when you see a creature here, your instinct first in the game is to close it like that, and then like things like that. And then if the creature has seen you or heard you, it will immediately start breaking down the door, unless it's really, really retarded, which has happened before. Don't get me wrong. But while they're busy with the door, you run over to a hiding spot, and typically speaking, there might be a cabinet, in which case you hide in there, because at that point, once the creature breaks down the door, he can walk around, maybe take a few paces. As long as you're standing absolutely still in the cabinet, he can't tell that you're there. And they're not smart enough to try opening doors like normal people, so they can't possibly open a cabinet and just say hello and kill you. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm willing to... you have any more questions? Of course, go ahead and shoot. Because I love this game, despite its weaknesses, I guess you could say. There are a lot of flaws to this game. One of them notably that the suspension of reality can tend to be very difficult for me. For instance, Daniel, such a pussy that like one little tiny little disturbing image makes him lose like one status of sanity, which is incredibly, stunningly annoying if you're in the middle of solving a puzzle and you have to dodge a monster by like being on one side of the room, things like that. And the shadow will do everything it can within its power, well, within the game's allowing its power to annoy you and scare you and things like that. And Daniel really has no control over it. He has no control over his bowels, let's just say. And I believe that is everything. Like I said, go ahead and ask more questions. I really want to make sure that everything is clear, including some of the obscure things that might have been brought up. Now, next we are going to go into the machine room, and we're gonna find out what's going on in there. Thank you for watching.